One of the most common beans on earth can put you in the hospital if you cook it wrong, and most people have no idea. Here's every bean explained. To start us off, we have the black bean. Black beans are part of the common bean family, which has been grown across the Americas for thousands of years. They're genuinely ancient. They're shiny and dark on the outside, but slice one open and the inside is a creamy pale color, which catches a lot of people off guard. The deeper secret most people skip is that the common bean was actually domesticated independently in two totally different places. Once in Mesoamerica and once in South America, like two ancient civilizations both stumbled onto the same bean by accident. They're packed with protein and fiber, they've got an almost meaty bite. And in Cuba, Brazil, and Mexico, they aren't a side dish at all, they're the main event. This next one can actually hurt you, the kidney bean. The kidney bean is named for its shape, curved and thick like a human kidney, and it's the bean you picture in a bowl of chili. But raw or undercooked kidney beans can actually cause poisoning. As few as 4 or 5 raw beans can leave you doubled over with symptoms within a few hours. Here's the part that catches people off guard. Throwing dry kidney beans straight into a slow cooker is not safe, because it may never get hot enough to break down the toxin. It just simmers along at the perfect temperature to leave it intact. The fix is simple. Boil them vigorously for at least 30 minutes, and they're safe when properly cooked. In Jamaica, kidney beans get simmered in coconut milk for a dish called rice and peas, a beloved part of the local food culture. One of the most commonly eaten beans in the US, the pinto bean. Pinto means painted in Spanish, and the raw beans really do look painted, tan with reddish-brown streaks splattered all over them. Cook them, and those markings vanish into a solid pinkish brown. Pintos are a strong contender for America's favorite bean, and they're the bean mashed up inside most refried beans. And here's a fun bit of translation trivia. The Spanish name frijoles, refritos, actually means well-fried. But in English, it became refried, which makes it sound like the beans get fried twice, even though that's not really what the name was getting at. Pintos grow great in dry heat, turn soft and creamy, and soak up spices better than almost any bean out there. But pintos are nothing compared to what's hiding in our next bean. A bean that used to be loaded with actual poison, the lima bean. The lima bean is named after Lima, the capital of Peru, where it's been grown for thousands of years. Kids treat it as the most hated thing on the dinner plate, but that's only because it used to get boiled plain with zero seasoning. Done right, it's buttery, smooth, and rich. Now for the scary part, wild lima beans contain linamarin, a compound that can release cyanide if the beans are raw or undercooked, enough to seriously hurt you. So here's the twist. Every lima bean you've ever eaten is the product of generations of farmers slowly breeding that danger out, picking the plants with less and less of it, until what's left on supermarket shelves today is the safe, mild version of what used to be a genuinely risky plant. Lima isn't the only bean here that needed a little taming. That brings us to the next bean, the cannellini bean. The cannellini is basically a white kidney bean, bigger and smoother, and it carries some of that same toxin, so it needs a proper boil too. It's the darling of Italian cooking, especially in Tuscany, where people have been nicknamed the bean eaters for centuries because they put cannellini in everything. It holds its shape better than smaller white beans, so it's perfect in soups and salads where you want the bean to stay whole. A classic, simple way to serve it is just good olive oil, salt, and fresh herbs. Nothing fancy needed. Creamy inside, slightly firm skin, and no meat needed anywhere. And now, possibly, the prettiest bean alive. The cranberry bean. The cranberry bean might be the prettiest bean alive. Creamy white with bright pink and red streaks swirled across the whole surface, like it was painted by hand. But all that gorgeous color vanishes the second it hits hot water, fading down to a plain brown. It started out in Colombia, where it was called the cargamanto bean, then sailed to Europe, where Italians fell in love with it and gave it their own name, the borlotti. Same bean, just a passport stamp away. It's got a rich, nutty, almost chestnut flavor that runs deeper than most beans, which is why it's the star of thick Italian and Portuguese soups and stews. This next one has a dark history. The fava bean. Fava beans are some of the oldest farmed plants on Earth, grown around the Mediterranean for at least 10,000 years. And in ancient Greece and Rome, people actually voted with them. A white bean meant yes, a black bean meant no. But favas have a genuinely dangerous side. Some people, mostly with roots in the Mediterranean or Middle East, are missing one tiny piece of their body's chemistry. And for them, eating favas can cause their own blood cells to start breaking down, a condition called favism. And according to legend, that's part of why the Greek philosopher Pythagoras banned his followers from eating beans at all, thousands of years before anyone understood why. The navy bean. This small white oval bean got its name from the United States Navy, which loaded it onto ships by the ton in the 1800s because it's stored forever. Its flavor is so mild it vanishes into anything, which is why it's the bean in classic baked beans and the canned beans Brits pour over toast. But the secret nobody expects is political. Navy bean soup has been a tradition on the menu in the United States Senate dining room for over 100 years, served up to some of the most powerful people in the country in a cafeteria, made from one of the cheapest beans on the shelf. It also breaks down as it cooks, naturally thickening any soup. Don't go anywhere just yet, it's about to get a lot stranger. The next bean is one of the oldest crops on Earth, the garbanzo bean. It's also known as the chickpea, and humans have been growing it for around 12,000 years in what's now Turkey and the Middle East. It's the entire base of hummus, and chickpea flour runs through breads and sweets all over India. But the strangest thing about it really took off around 2014, and it changed cooking overnight. That cloudy liquid you usually pour down the drain from a can of chickpeas? It's now called aquafaba, and it whips up exactly like egg whites. So vegan bakers started using bean water to make meringue. There are even two main kinds, the big pale kabuli, most of us picture, and the small dark desi that's actually more common worldwide. This next one is technically a bean, not a pea, the black-eyed pea. Despite the name, this is a bean, a type of cowpea, with one dark spot on its side that looks just like a little eye staring back at you. It's got a wild cousin too, the yard-long bean, from the same cowpea family, grown for its pod instead of its seeds. And that pod can stretch nearly 3 feet long, basically a green bean on steroids. The black-eyed pea itself came out of West Africa and crossed to the American South through the slave trade, sinking deep into Southern cooking. People there still eat it every New Year's Day for luck, usually in a dish called Hoppin' John with rice and pork. And during the Civil War, soldiers reportedly overlooked these fields, figuring the crop was only fit for livestock, which is exactly what let many Southern families survive the winter on a bean nobody thought was worth stealing. This next bean is so different, it gets its own shelf, the lentil. Lentils are technically in the same family as every bean here, but they're so different they usually get their own shelf at the store, tiny, flat, and shaped like a little lens. That's not a coincidence, by the way. The glass lens in your camera or your glasses was actually named after the lentil, not the other way around. They've turned up in Egyptian tombs. And in the Bible, one brother sells his entire inheritance to the other for a single bowl of lentil stew. That's how valuable a hot meal could be back then. Unlike beans, lentils need no soaking and cook in under 30 minutes, which made them a fast, filling lifeline for thousands of years. Red lentils melt into a smooth, thick base for soups, while green and black ones hold their shape. Our next bean has the opposite problem. You've definitely eaten it and had no idea. This one is hiding in your takeout, the mung bean. You've eaten the mung bean without knowing it, sprout it in water for a few days, and it becomes the crunchy bean sprouts piled into stir fries and spring rolls. It's been a staple across India, China, and Southeast Asia for at least 4,000 years, and it's about a quarter protein. It also contains something rice doesn't. So when you eat rice and beans together, you're actually getting a more complete protein than either food gives you alone. The surprise, across much of Asia, it's also a dessert, a sweet paste that fills mooncakes and dumplings, and it's even seen as cooling, eaten in hot weather for relief. This one is basically candy, the adzuki bean. Across Japan, China, and Korea, the little red adzuki is eaten mostly as a sweet, which flips everything Westerners assume about beans. It's boiled down with sugar into a thick red paste called anko, the stuff inside red bean buns, mochi, and pancakes by the millions. And it's slightly sweet even before any sugar goes in, so it's practically built for dessert. Red is a lucky color there, so a red rice made with adzuki shows up at birthdays and weddings. And brand new genetic research from 2025 points to it, first being tamed in central Japan, then spreading into China. This next bean is a baby in disguise, edamame. Edamame are just young soybeans picked while still bright green and soft before they harden into the dry beans used for tofu and soy milk. The name literally means stem beans in Japanese, where they've been boiled in salty water and eaten straight from the pod for centuries. They blew up in America through Japanese restaurants handing them out as a free appetizer. What really matters is the protein. Edamame contains every single building block your body needs to make its own protein, all 9 of them, which almost no other plant food can claim. Firm, slightly sweet, and basically a snack with a free nutrition upgrade. This one might just be the most useful plant alive. The winged bean. The winged bean earned the nickname a supermarket on a single stalk because there's basically no part of it you can't eat. Pods, leaves, flowers, seeds, even the underground roots. Back in 1975, the National Academy of Sciences spotlighted it against hunger, since the seeds hit around 35% protein, right up there with soybeans, and even the roots beat a potato. The pods taste like a green bean crossed with asparagus, the leaves cook down like spinach, and the roots come out nutty like a potato. One single plant, an entire grocery list. And that brings us to the strangest bean on this list, the Bambara groundnut. This bean is strangest because it buries its own pods underground to ripen, exactly like a peanut. It comes from West Africa, named after the Bambara people of Mali, and it's the 3rd most important bean on the entire continent, behind only the peanut and the cowpea. After its flowers get pollinated, the plant's stalks actually bend down and drill into the soil, so the beans finish growing hidden in the dark like buried treasure. People call it a near-complete food, bringing protein, carbs, and fat all in one tough little seed. So tough it has to be boiled soft, roasted, or ground into flour just to eat it. If any of that surprised you, hit subscribe. We do breakdowns like this every week. Click the video on screen now to see more food breakdowns like this one.